going to go off script for a minute, and I just want to thank the professionals and the staff of AJC. They are outstanding. So, this morning, we began our final theme of the conference, Shape a New Future, by exploring the most pressing challenges and opportunities for the Jewish people and Israel through the lens of AJC's unparalleled global architecture. From strengthening emerging geopolitical alignments between the United States, Latin America, and Israel, to advancing Israel's engagement across Asia and deepening partnerships throughout Africa, to examining the evolving realities of Jewish life and community resilience in Europe, we saw how AJC's global network drives impact region by region. We examined how to confront anti-Semitism at the highest levels of international institutions, including the United Nations, while also translating that advocacy into concrete policy, such as legislation to protect Jewish students here in the United States. Together, these conversations underscored how AJC's integrated global and domestic strategy, spanning our regional offices and international institutes, positions us not only to respond to challenges, but to shape the future of Jewish life worldwide. In this morning's plenary, we will continue to look toward the future, beginning with a conversation on bipartisanship in a divided time, featuring two very good friends of the Jewish people and the state of Israel, United States Senators from Pennsylvania, John Fetterman and Dave McCormick. We are grateful to both senators for their steadfast allyship and moral clarity, and we are honored that they have taken the time to be with AJC today. But before we bring the senators on stage for a conversation with Ted, we want to take one more moment to mark America's 250th anniversary and spotlight another group of American Jews who have made great contributions to our country. Throughout our history, hundreds of thousands of American Jews have served in our armed forces, including more than 550,000 in World War II alone, and more than 11,000 made the ultimate sacrifice. Jewish War Veterans of the USA, JWV, the nation's longest active veterans service organization, is celebrating their 130th anniversary. In 1896, in response to an anti-Semitic trope that Jews didn't serve in the Union Army during the Civil War, 63 of approximately 7,000 Jews who served formed the JWV. The organization was created to answer anti-Semitism with their proven service, patriotism, and remembrance. For 130 years, JWV members have answered the call of duty and stood on the front lines in defense of our country. As veterans, they have continued this mission, supporting other veterans fighting anti-Semitism and preserving the memory and service of those who served before. At AJC, together with JWV, we are proud to acknowledge and celebrate the service of American Jews, 7 of whom are here with us today. Please join me in welcoming these distinguished veterans to the stage. Sergeant David Warnock enlisted in the United States Army in 2005 as an infantryman in the 1st Infantry Division and deployed to the West Rashid area of Baghdad in 2006. He was wounded by an IED and medically evacuated and recovered. His unit was later redesignated the 172nd Separate Infantry Brigade, and he was promoted to sergeant. He deployed to Iraq again in 2008 as a rifle team leader. His battalion task force led one of the final kinetic operations of the war. David is an AJC leader on our Access Global Board and also in Seattle. Thank you, Sergeant Warnock. Lieutenant Commander Joseph Simons, Navy, served as an intelligence officer and Arabic interpreter for Special Operations Forces throughout the Middle East in support of the global war on terror. He is also a former AJC Access leader who is now joining our professional team as the incoming director of AJC Access Global. Thank you, Lieutenant Commander Simons. Colonel Danny Menashe, Air Force, flew over 70 refueling missions over Afghanistan and Iraq in support of operations enduring and Iraqi freedom. Thank you, Colonel Menashe. Brigadier General Michael Mann. Retired Army. Served in Afghanistan as Deputy Commander of the 143rd Sustainment Command, supporting combat operations throughout the country. Thank you, Brigadier General Mann. Colonel Daniel Gerstein, retired Army. Served with the 3rd Armored Division as the division signal officer in the First Gulf War. Later, he served as battalion commander with the implementation force in Bosnia. Thank you, Colonel Gerstein. Colonel Louis Wetstein. Retired U.S. Air Force, served in the First Gulf War. He was a state air surgeon for New Jersey and commander of the 514th Medical Squad. Thank you, Colonel Wetstein. I also add that the Lieutenant Colonel is a member of AJC's National Leadership Council. Colonel Harvey Kaplan. Retired Army. Served 2 tours in Vietnam as the commander of a combat engineer company and a supply officer for a combat engineer group. Thank you, Colonel Kaplan. "102-year-old very fitting for our 120th, goals to reach greater heights. Colonel Albert Jacobs served in World War II, as an Army Air Corps radio operator in China, Burma, India theater. Thank you, Colonel Jacobs. Thank you all for your service, and I know that we speak for all of us when I say that you make us all incredibly proud. And now, please join me in welcoming Senator John Fetterman, Senator Dave McCormick, and AJC CEO Ted Deutch.
Senators, welcome to the Global Forum stage. As a native of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, I have really been looking forward to this. AJC, as you know, is fiercely nonpartisan. We pride ourselves in being able to convene bipartisan conversations like these. This is such an important moment for our conference. It's such an important moment for our conference, and we're especially proud to be able to do this conversation with two leaders who have been such champions for the Jewish community, the fight against anti-Semitism, all of the issues that are so important to AJC and to the Jewish people. And I want to start just by thanking you. You both have spoken clearly and with incredible moral clarity about Israel and about anti-Semitism at a time when, unfortunately, that is increasingly rare. We do not, please understand, we do not take that for granted. Your leadership is greatly appreciated. For the first question, I want to begin with the backdrop of America's upcoming 250th. As an organization committed to bipartisanship and focusing on policy over politics, concerned about rising polarization and partisanship, that has us, I have to say, really worried. And yet, here are the two of you, not just colleagues, but friends, sitting here from two different parties, something that we have been led to believe is increasingly difficult. We just had the opportunity to thank these veterans. I thank you for your service, Senator McCormick. I thank you both for your service to the Senate. From your vantage point, is the partisan environment that we live in now as bad as it seems? Is there bipartisanship that's still functioning behind the scenes, or is the reality somewhere in between? Senator Fetterman, we'll start with you.
Well, I mean, we're great friends, to be clear, you know, And there are people that are angry at me to do things and to just reach across the aisle right now. And it is getting more and more partisan and more ugly. But I will always strongly reject all of those kinds of things and ever engage in the kinds of the slurs and describe things in extreme kinds of ways. You know, we will fight for wins for Pennsylvania and for our country. And, you know, and when we disagree, you know, our views will be reflected in our votes. It's not going to be about insults and describing other people in terrible kind of terms. So I'm proud to be here on the stage with him. And we just were that 2 days ago, whatever, already. So, so it's great to be here.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Senator McCormick.
Well, I feel very lucky to have John Fetterman as my colleague. We live not far from each other. We met for the first time on the 5th anniversary of the Tree of Life. And I was running. Senator Fetterman was already in the Senate. I live in Squirrel Hill, right around the corner from the Tree of Life. Senator Fetterman was a couple miles away. And we had a conversation then, and then when I was fortunate enough to win, we sat down and got to know each other, and we agreed on the following things. We disagree on a lot of things. I vote with my party most of the time, he votes with his party most of the time, but we started with the premise we want to work together every way we can. And so we have authored all sorts of joint legislation on fentanyl, on nuclear energy, on farming and agriculture in Pennsylvania, on anti-Semitism. And that's what Pennsylvanians expect. And so I trust him. I trust him more than I trust most anybody else in the Senate, which is saying something. And I look for opportunities to work with him.
Where does that trust come from?
Well, I think in my case, from the very first day, Senator Fetterman said, listen, I have no interest in games. I have no tolerance for games. I had a near-death experience, and I just want to do good for the people of Pennsylvania. I ran on that same premise. I said during the campaign, listen, whether you vote for me or not, I want to work as hard as I can to represent you. And Pennsylvania, as John often says, it keeps you honest, because it's a place where you have to build a coalition of people to get things done. And so I feel fortunate to have Senator Fetterman as my colleague to do that.
Thank you. I want to come back to the idea of moral clarity, something that we have long emphasized is vitally important, particularly in public spaces. And that's especially the case since October 7th. Both of you have spoken clearly about Israel's right to defend itself and about the ways that rhetoric around Israel fuels real-world violence against the Jewish community. So let me ask, again, circling back to where you come from. You're both from Pennsylvania. It is a state with an important, but I think we can agree, modestly sized Jewish population. What has motivated you to be such outspoken advocates on these issues, and why aren't there more leaders speaking this way, Senator McCormick?
Well, in my case, as I said, I live in Pittsburgh, right around the corner from Tree of Life, and so I've been very aware of issues affecting the Jewish community. But following October 7th, my wife and I went to Israel. Within 2 months, we saw firsthand, we witnessed what had happened on that horrible day, the surprise attack, the barbarism we went through, Kfar Aza. We met with people that had escaped. We met with the families of the hostages. We watched the horrific video, which I'm sure some of you have seen, taken from the body cams of the terrorist. And so you can't come away from that without thinking we need to do everything we can to support Israel, and that Israel has every right, not only has every right to defend itself, but can't live 600 meters away from people who want to slit their throats in the middle of the night. So this is, that conviction comes from seeing it firsthand. But the second thing that happened was a second surprise attack, which as a non-Jewish person, I knew there was anti-Semitism, but what came after on the campuses of University of Pennsylvania, on the streets of Philadelphia, in Pittsburgh, where a young campaign worker on my campaign was attacked, was this rise of anti-Semitism and hatred and hateful rhetoric. And so that also strengthened my conviction that we need to stand up. So both the Senator and I said we got to fire Liz McGill at Penn. You can't sanction you have to stand strong against this kind of hatred. And he's been an incredible voice on this every day since.
Thank you. Senator Fetterman, I know I speak for everyone here in telling you that in the period, especially after October 7th, when we were all so troubled, concerned, and fearful of what we were seeing playing out in the streets and the rhetoric that we heard, there were many occasions where you appeared and your statements appeared just at the moment when we needed to be fortified. Where does that come from? And again, how do we get more people to do it? Why aren't there more people willing to do it?
Well, I mean, I'm a student of history, and what history has consistently always demonstrated that people and societies will turn their backs to the Jewish community when they're under siege. And now I've always promised that I will never be part of that. And now, especially in my party as a Democrat, I early on, assumed that this was going to happen, and I announced I plan to be the last man standing throughout all of it. And I don't think that coming up on 2 years ago when the Prime Minister gave a joint address to the House and the Senate there, and people in my party wouldn't look at him. They would turn their back to him, wouldn't hold his, shake his hand, do this basic courtesy kind of thing. That's wild. And, the entire party was pushing for a ceasefire. Could you imagine where the circumstances would be right now if Israel was pushed into a ceasefire? Sinwar would be alive. Hamas would have been able to declare a victory. Hezbollah would be able to launch thousands and thousands of rockets at civilians in Israel too. And Iran, my gosh, how close could they have been to build a nuclear bomb? And now, but the Prime Minister understood that's what's necessary. And then the beepers hit, boom, I love it. And then they put Hezbollah in check and beat them back, eliminated Sinwar, and up till just a couple days ago, they keep wasting all of the leaders of Hamas, The IDF finish them off before even the new business cards come in. And, that's not defending. That's what they also have the right to just go in there and go after these kind of people that are committed to kill Jews and destroy the state of Israel. The problem is Iran and its proxies. It's never going to be about Israel. And finally, I'm tired of hearing about this question of should Israel exist? It's like, yeah, 100%. It's not going anywhere. And I'm always gonna vote for whatever Israel needs, military, financial, or intelligent, whatever that it's in. They are. It's a miracle, and it's a paragon of democracy and the kinds of values that we live here in our nation, in that entire region.
Should we go on or
just let him go?
Let him go, yeah.
Just let him
talk. Senator McCormick, let me actually follow up with both of you on this issue of anti-Semitism within politics. Republicans have aggressively criticized anti-Semitism on the left and on college campuses. You've also acknowledged an anti-Semitism element inside the Republican Party. Within the Republican Party, is there a serious enough acknowledgement that the threat posed by voices like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, influential figures who spread anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, that those are being taken as seriously as they need to?
Well, listen, there's certainly anti-Semitism on both sides, but I don't think we can have equality there. I think we don't have any people in the Republican Party that are running for office with Nazi tattoos on their chest, right? And and with mainstream Democrats going to Maine to campaign for Graham Plattner. So I do think that this problem has really gained traction and become a very significant part of the Democratic Party. But as you say, there is a rise of this on both sides, and so Nicholas Fuentes is a good example. And when he's speaking out, I'm saying, no, that's not That's not part of my party. That's not part of my values. That's not someone I want to have to Thanksgiving dinner, and we shouldn't platform those voices as well. But I would differentiate between social media, where there's certainly a lot of that, and what's happening on the ground. And I think this is the kind of thing where we cannot sanction in any way. When we see evidence of anti-Semitism, whether it's in our public schools, whether it's on university campuses, whether it's in our own party, we have to speak out strongly against it.
And thank you for that. It's harder to speak out when it's within your own party. Senator Fetterman, as you alluded to, you've consistently broken with progressive voices that have all too often defended Hamas while you have defended Israel's war against Hamas. They've protested in the street and supported marches against Israel and the existence of Israel, while you have criticized those. And you've warned about powerfully and loudly about encroaching anti-Semitism on the far left. I asked Senator McCormick about the Republican Party. In the Democratic Party, how is it that there is now, in some circles within the Democratic Party, there is a need to be anti-Israel, simply to be accepted in those circles? How is it that those litmus tests now exist, and how should the party respond?
Look at the people that are winning the primaries in our party right now, and look at their views on Israel. We're old enough to remember that if somebody had a Nazi tattoo, they're a Nazi sympathizer. But now it's like, that's okay. People will defend that, or they'll just kind of explain that away. But now this is a guy that was absolutely cheering Hamas. There was a video that Hamas put online where they killed and beat and tortured IDF soldiers, and he said, I dig it. I dig it. What kind of a ghoul lurks on the internet, back in 2014, celebrating that kind of barbarity? Well, that's the kind of guy that would have that kind of a tattoo. And that's part of the people also in our state too. Rab, he won, and he ran on and being a very, very anti-Israel and that. So that's the one thing that's not just acceptable, it's actually a virtue for increasingly, and that's heartbreaking for me. And if it isolates me, then so be it, because there's always going to be a moral clarity, and it's been the easiest choice I've ever made here in my political career.
And we're enormously grateful for that. I want to be clear, though. Within some circles, yes, but in terms of being isolated, there are. And this is the moment where I make clear, AJC is a nonpartisan organization. There are a lot of people in this room. There are a lot of good Democrats all across the country who also will look at statements in defense of Hamas and draw the only conclusion that they can, which is there's no place for this in politics.
Candidates and Democrats will campaign and proudly stand with Hassan Piker. This is an individual that Hamas is 1,000% better than Israel and all other kinds of things. And now America deserved 9/11. They will campaign with this guy like it's like their new mascot. And the New York Times can't get enough of him. They give him an opportunity to talk to someone like that. That's part of the party is going, and that's where we are now. Look who's winning in these primaries.
And the importance of having voices that say these are voices, these extremists should not be platformed by anyone running for office. That's where the vast majority of Americans are, and we thank you for that principled stand. Finally, I want to just circle back to where we started, which is walking on stage and having the opportunity to greet all of these veterans. And America at 250. It sends a really powerful message that the two of you are here on stage together. What do you say to Americans who now believe that principled disagreements with mutual respect is no longer possible. And as America marks this anniversary, after this challenging conversation, what gives you hope, Senator Fetterman?
I mean, America is still a young nation. Now, Israel is a very, very young nation now, too. There are people here on the stage that actually fought in World War II. I mean, that's still living history and living heroes. And now let's talk about what now we are at the party. People in our party proudly announced they will now vote against Iron Dome. You know, purely defensive, saves tens of thousands of people. I've seen these capabilities, you know, with my eyes when I visited in Israel. Now you're going to vote against that? And then even an organization like J Street now said that's okay. That's their official view. You know, that's political cover for people to vote against these things. And now it's heartbreaking if America would ever decide not to provide, you know, aid to Israel. That's our special ally. And if you look at the challenges that they have, describe it in the kinds of term, it's disgusting, and use terms like genocide or that they're the aggressor or anything like that. You know, history, that's a community that really understands what that term really means, and they've lived through that.
Senator McCormick, those guys behind us, yourself, put your lives on the line to defend our country. America's 250 years old. How should we be thinking about
I'm going to say something sort of counterintuitive based on our conversation, but I mean, I'm optimistic about America's future. I think it's the greatest country in the world, and a friend had shared with me, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with the letter from George Washington in 1790, where it was a welcome to the children of Abraham, where he talked about a country where religious faith would be free, and that the Jewish people and all Americans would have the opportunity to prosper. If George Washington could have imagined in 1790 the America we have today, the prosperity, the incredible opportunity for all of us, including the Jewish people, it would have been staggering how wildly successful America has been in living true to its values, and at times moments of dark chapters. But if you look at the line, these are squiggles. And I think we're in a moment where people are questioning, quite rightly, we need to reassert our commitment to those values, and it'll be about leadership. But America, time and again, has shown the resilience to do so, just as the Jewish people have time and again shown the resilience to do so. So I think in this 250th, we should obviously stare hard at the problems and the challenges, but we should not lose sight of the miraculous opportunity and success that America has brought to all of us.
We're so fortunate. We are so fortunate to have the two of you working together across the aisle to confront these issues together. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being at AJC's Global Forum. Thank you. Thank you so much.